Hello, and welcome to Wholeness, a quantum experience. We're your hosts,
I'm Shannon Ledford.
and I'm Ava Adinolfi, and we're going to be meeting weekly on Thursdays, Jupiter Day. And yeah, we're going to be having super fun conversations, the two of us, and then we'll also be bringing in some fun guests.
Amazing guests.
And we're going to have lots of conversations about wholeness, probably about quantum. It's really just a fun exploration for us to all dig in and explore. And on that note, everybody has a different definition, different perspective of what wholeness is.
Well, first though, foundationally what we're doing here is we're two best friends and business partners. And we've been figuring out the resonance of wholeness and like remembering it and getting back to it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start with what does wholeness mean to each of us? And then sort of go from there. And we're on an exploration, really. So for me, wholeness is about a resonance. This remembering of a resonance within me that has become a touchstone that I can come back to, because our world is moving so rapidly and things are changing so quickly that it really feels like I'm being asked to meet every moment and to do that with as much grace and wholeness of myself as I can muster in any given moment, right? And so I've stopped. I was in a time where it was like, oh, things are going to settle down. They're going to get more back to normal. I'm going to be able to like catch my breath in a way. And what I've realized over the last year and a half is that we're really being forged for something more. Things aren't going to slow down, or things are just rapidly changing, and we're being forged to continue to get stronger and better and meet every moment and meet our destiny in a new way. And so, yeah, this will be, for me, exploring some of that.
Wow, as you say that, I just had this beautiful imagery too. Because we've been talking about this for a while. Obviously, it's like the hits keep coming. Just have to get stronger. And I can really feel now, again, speaking to that resonance, like that frequency, that vibration of wholeness, is like the stronger we can attune to that, then when the hits come, the less likely we are to wobble and become dysregulated, right? Because right now it can feel, or at least for me sometimes, it can really easily, I can get dysregulated. But I definitely notice the more that I'm working on my own energetic structure, my own vibration, my own frequency, strengthening that, then yeah, it's like when I come into those moments where a trigger happens, or whatever it is, that I can stay more centered and in that frequency of wholeness that we all have innately, right? Like, you're already whole. We just let our trauma and our past experiences get in the way of that. And also just a reminder, and I say this to myself too, is like, you're not your trauma. You are whole. And I know this bed that we're sitting on right now, the Quantum Energy Wellness bed, like that has been a beautiful place for myself to keep coming and dropping into the frequency of wholeness, because all that other stuff kind of, it's like you get in that quantum field and you can see those things that are getting in your way, but they're not in your way in that moment. So it's this beautiful opportunity to hone that frequency, strengthen and attune to that frequency, so that when you are out in the 3D world that we do live in every day, that we can be stronger in those moments. Or, again, if you're in the kitchen with your partner and there's a trigger that happens, like, the more attuned we are to that frequency, the more that we can take our trauma goggles off and reattune and actually like be in relationship and in connection, instead of like at war when we're not really at war. are.
Yeah. And also it's important to say that when we're talking about like strengthening our relationship to that frequency, strengthening isn't like getting stronger and more rigid. It's about the static, any static or interference that's around that frequency dissipating out so we can feel it and come back to it more quickly. So it really is about this and flow versus standing rigidly strong with something. I'm rigid in my wholeness. It's not like that for me.
Yeah, and it almost sometimes too feels like that, like turning the volume up, right? So like turning the volume on that frequency up so that it is louder than the frequency of your trauma that's like sitting in your shoulder or wherever it is in your field. And again, static, as you said, that makes me think also, how do I want to say this? Because I noticed that's something that I really noticed on the bed, right? Is that when I'm on the quantum energy wellness bed, that I can hear or discern more of that like creation frequency, that God frequency, and the static, the stuff that gets in the way is that volume's lower, right? And the other one's higher. And again, when I talk about strengthening too, it's like the same thing. It's more of just like attuning to live more quantumly in the 3D.
Yes. And it's one thing we were talking about to do that as an internal journey, and it's another thing to interface it out into the world. It's like next layer, it's like next level. Yeah. And so this is going to be a place where we play with all of that, where we've been friends a long time. We've been business partners with the bed for a year and a half. We're going to bring in some really amazing guests that we're excited about to see how they're playing with wholeness and faith and the quantum, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah. And we're gonna laugh, and we're probably gonna cry, and we're gonna have ahas, and we're gonna have a oh no's, and all of those things. Like that's what it's about for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited to bring in some other energy into this space and get those different perspectives. Because again, like we're talking all the time, and we have really beautiful, impactful, meaningful conversations, and it's already really fun that we're gonna like share that in a more public way. But yeah, to get other energy in the mix too, where we get to learn from them, and just this beautiful exchange of like ideas and possibility, really, right? Because
it's going to be a place of curiosity and wonderment, and just expansion, potential expansion, space for expansion. Yeah. All of that. And the bed's going to play a part. So you're going to have Ava, and you're going to have me, and you're going to have the guests, and then the bed is going to hold its own frequency within all of it. I was saying that so I'm almost 50. So I grew up in the time of, like Sex and the City was a big thing in my, 20s and 30s. And so there were the characters, and then the city was its own character, right? So we've got a little bit of that here. You've got Ava and you've got me. And we're going to bring in the guests, the guest stars. but the bed has its own character here for this. And it has been such an amazing place for me to unwind stuff, to learn more about how to regulate my nervous system. And so we're going to play with all that.
Yes, that. And one final thing I want to say, which for me relates to wholeness and relative to what you said, is I keep getting this message, it's less to be more. And the words that aren't named in that, it's like less other to be more me. And so for me, that's kind of my formula to wholeness, right? And again, this bed is just like a really great place to do that, right? Like I spent, and we'll go over this more in future episodes, but like grief has been a big journey for me on this bed. And there's so much to grieve. I was grieving something specific, but we also grieve the other things too. And again, that's like this letting go, that this emptying, becoming this empty vessel so that I can be wholly me and wholly like interacting and interfacing with the divine, right? Rather than again having all this junk and static within. And so I love these conversations. They're so fun.
So we're super happy that you're here today. And we invite you to come back and come play with us in curiosity and wonderment and all of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.